Hey, good evening, everybody. Happy Thursday to you. It's Dave McKenzie, and it is week 2 of the high school football playoffs. And as we've done the last couple of weeks, I've kind of enjoyed this, Scott Hudson, the fact that we can get together and kind of talk about our Carterville Lions and what they've done and what they've got coming up here this week in another tall task as we head into round 2 of the IHSA playoffs.
Yeah, this week, the good thing about this week for us is we have a name we can pronounce, Coal City, instead of Geneseo or Geneseo, whatever the case may have been. But the Coal City Coalers coming here 7-3 after their win last week over East Alton Wood River. They are a little bit bigger school than Carterville, 675 enrollment. But, boy, what a game we saw last week by the Carterville Lions.
Absolutely, and 36-7 the final score, and just an outstanding ball game by the Lions, and a little close at the beginning, but you got to give credit to Geneseo. They kind of took care of the running game, but that's the thing about this Carterville team. You can't, once you shut down, think you've got one thing shut down. There's 2 or 3 different other options out there.
And a lot of teams, even at this stage of the season, don't have those options like Carterville does. You know, you look at the first half, I thought Carterville, may have shot themselves in the foot late in the second quarter when they had the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty called after a big Bryce Smith run down to the Maple Leafs 20-yard line. They didn't score on that. And then they had the really bad call in the back of the end zone on Nolan Hartford as a touchdown catch that was called incomplete. So you go into the half, you're down, or you're up 15-7, and it's probably a little closer than it should have been. But Carterville came out in the second half. They got the ball first. They went down and scored. And really from that point on, it was game over because Carterville dominated on both sides of the ball, and Geneseo never really got into any rhythm. So Carterville was able to overcome some of their own mistakes, a mistake by the officiating crew, and that's what good teams do. They overcome mistakes, and they just took off in that third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. And nobody had a bigger game last week than the smallest guy on the field, Peyton Biddle.
Boy, I tell you what, he was everywhere, offensively, defensively, and he's the type of player that can make plays in the open space on both sides of the ball. And we saw that last week. And I think that's the great thing about this Lions team is they've got players that they don't have to just count on a Bryce Smith or a Hellriegel or a Berkey or a Biddle or whoever. They've got multiple players that can hurt you, and we saw that firsthand in the second half last week.
Well, I had a chance just a few minutes ago to go over to practice and talk with Coach Brett Dowd, get our pregame interview done, and let's hear from the head coach of your Carterville Lions right now. Of the playoffs, Coach Brett Dowd joins us prior to Coal City. First off, again, congratulations, big win a week ago on a non-familiar opponent, and those Lions look good.
I appreciate it. Our kids were really locked in all week, and our assistant coaches, I thought, did a tremendous job. Defensive staff was definitely on point all week, and like I said, we had a great week of practice, and it was fun to prepare for a team outside of the area, somebody that we didn't really know anything about, and that unknown, and is part of the fun of the high school football playoffs, and we're doing it again this week.
Also, again, I want to talk about Peyton Biddle. Everybody played well, but Peyton just had an outstanding ball game.
He's a guy that sometimes, he can get lost because, they're focusing on Bryce in the run game, and then, Berkey is so dynamic, and Hartford, we've stretched the field with Hartford quite a bit, but really the last few weeks, Biddle's been on fire. He's been in those seams, and he runs great, sharp routes. He has terrific hands, and Andrew put the ball where he needed to, and Peyton came up with a lot of big plays for us. This
week you're meeting a team at 7-3. Again, another unfamiliar opponent in Coal City.
Yeah, and that's it's part of the great thing about the football playoffs. So often you get paired up with teams locally and in your region, and in high school football, it's a little bit different. We've played 2 teams off I-80, and both of our opponents have stayed the night. Because of the trip. It's rare to see. So it's been a lot of fun to prepare and kind of see different styles of football. Last week out of the Quad Cities area. This week a little bit more towards Kankakee, Joliet area, and just the different styles of play that we're seeing and having to prepare for. It's making us a better team.
Is this Coal City team similar to Geneseo, or are you going to see some different stuff out of them?
I mean, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similarities in the offensive approach, even the defensive approach. I mean, they're very similar opponents, really. So that's helped. I mean, it's helped, and it's also been a little bit hard maybe to, last week was so different that our focus was it was locked in, the entire week. This week, there's not been as much of the new. So we've really had to kind of shorten our practice to kind of keep focus and make sure our guys are ready to play and just get their legs underneath them more than anything. The mental part we really had in early because the game plans, again, are very similar. So the challenge this week is just making sure we're healthy and ready to go. And the game's played Saturday at 1, so as long as we're ready to play then, we'll be all right.
One thing that people tend to underestimate about this Lions team is, and you saw it last week, when a run game gets bottled up a little bit, there's a lot of options out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to have a diversified approach if you want to make a run, and I think if we just sat and tried to run at these teams that play in run-heavy leagues that are used to a physical style of football, I mean, you're going to get yourself in trouble. But our ability to throw it out to multiple receivers and then also still run the ball, it's served us well, and it's gotten us to where we're at right now. Offensively, obviously, our defense has played terrific, and then our special teams, the last few, really last half of the season, I would say, has been real strong and came up with just a huge play for us last week.
And everybody played. You had to play all 4 quarters last week, and you saw a little bit of cramping from a couple, but now you're having to play those 4 quarters.
Well, we played 4 quarters, and it also decided to get sunny and almost 80 degrees out on us, in the end of October. So, we didn't get a whole lot of breaks there, but, I think that our guys will be ready this week. We've had a good week, like I said, and the weather's been cooperative, and we should have a good day Saturday.
Well, good luck. We'll talk in postgame.
I appreciate it.
All right, Scotty, your thoughts after hearing from Coach Brett Dial?
Well, I think he was very, very happy, obviously, with the way his team played against a much bigger team last week. Geneseo was the biggest team Carterville has faced at this point. And I really liked the way Carterville matched their physicality, because I think that was one of the big question marks coming into the game. Could Carterville withstand, a team like Geneseo, who had a very big lineup on both sides of the ball? But I think ultimately what was the difference in the game, Carterville's offensive and defensive lines did an outstanding job yet again. And Carterville had more team speed than Geneseo. Geneseo had some very good athletes. They just didn't have the speed and quickness that Carterville had, and that was very evident in Carterville's passing game.
And I think specifically a much faster offensive and defensive line.
No question about it. And that's been, on defense, if your defensive line is quick, that kind of negates any size the other team may have on the offensive line. And Carterville's done that all year long. Guys like Walker and Cordes and Miller and Bradford, they've all done an outstanding job. They all did great last week. And the offensive line is very big for Carterville. And in that third quarter, when Carterville started to take over, that's when that all big offensive line started to wear down Geneseo. And early in the fourth quarter, you could see Geneseo players hanging their head, putting their hands on their hips. And that's when Carterville really just finished them off.
Well, buddy, and so nice that we're getting the first 2 road games or first 2 games at home. And kind of looking at the bracket, there's the game that we're going to be watching specifically is the fact that Bree Central is taking on Rochester at Rochester, because whoever wins this Carterville-Coal City game gets Rochester. Now, it depends on how things break, but man, the Carterville bracket has been outstanding.
It has, and this is the advantage you have as a number 1 seed. Yep. Because if you got the number 1 seed, as long as the higher seeds keep winning in your bracket, you will be playing at home as long as you're winning. And right now, I don't know Bree Central. I haven't seen them play this year. Of course, they won last week over Mount Zion, but they've got a tall task in front of them going to Rochester. But if everything goes the way a lot of people think, it would be Rochester at Carterville next weekend. And there's probably going to be people lined up at 9 p.m. Friday night to go see if that happens. Carterville still has some work to do.
Yeah.
But looking at what little bit of film I've seen on Coal City this week, looking at some of their players and their size and everything, I really think Carterville's got a really good chance to win this game if they don't beat themselves. I think that's the key for Carterville. If they don't have a lot of penalties, if they don't turn the ball over, I think they're in good shape to win this game big.
Well, just like last Saturday, it's going to be a 1 o'clock kickoff at Carterville High School. Pregame coverage with Scott and I on News Radio WJPF will start at 12:40. And yes, we're going to have the live stream up for the game. I want to apologize. Last week, apparently ran into some first half technical issues. Been able to get a clean second half on there. But News Radio WJPF and on the AM radio, that's AM 1340, 99.5 FM. Or you can head over to the YouTube channel and you can watch the game along with the pregame coverage all right there in one place, buddy. We're going to the second round of the playoffs.
And I like our chances, Dave, on Saturday. I really do. After what I saw last week, I think they convinced a lot of naysayers on how good this Carterville team really is. And I think this could be another special Saturday.
Absolutely. Hope you'll join us. Hope you come over to the game. Weather-wise, as of right now, the forecast is improving for game time at 1 o'clock. Rain should hopefully be gone. Winds should hopefully die down. It's going to be beautiful, 65 degrees. So we invite you to come out to Carterville High School for the game itself. Gates will open at 11 o'clock just like they did last week, but we need a big home crowd. In the playoffs, you want that. You have the home field advantage. You need to make it an advantage.
Yes, and this team is worth supporting. They're worth, believe me, you come out to this game, you will not be disappointed in the effort and the athletic ability of this Carterville Lions team. They have been so much fun to watch this year, and I think they're going to be playing again come next week as well.
Absolutely. It's playoff football in Illinois, and we hope to see you on Saturday. That man right there is Scott Hudson. I'm Dave McKenzie. Hope you have a great night. Come out to Lions Field on Saturday, and as always, let's go Lions. Have a good night, everybody.